Hey there, and welcome to Large Format Friday. I'm your host, Matt Marrash. If this is the first time you're stopping by the channel, there's a playlist of our entire third season of LFF. And if you haven't subscribed yet, each and every Friday, we're gonna be here and we're gonna be talking about something large format. Now, today, hopefully I'm not gonna be doing too much talking and a lot more shooting because I am in the best place. Google Maps reminded me that I haven't been here in almost 2 years, which is a tragedy because this is when I think of Hocking Hills, I think of this area. You've already seen some work from this area, and here we are. We're in lovely Cedar Falls. I couldn't ask for a better day to be down here. There's a little bit of fog, there was some rain. I can hear the falls from the parking lot, which is a really good sign. So we're gonna head on down the trail, capture some of this lovely natural atmosphere that we're in, and hopefully share some large format pictures. Thus begins the stairs. So Cedar Falls is an amazing trail that connects with another fantastic part of the Hocking Hills area, which is Old Man's Cave. It's all a very, very long interconnected trail, but there's much more to it than just waterfalls. That being said, first thing we're gonna do is our warm-up shot at the trademark. So, you know, we're in this valley, right? And there's these really, really, really giant rock formations that the sun has not come up over yet and won't for a few hours. So what's the benefit of a foggy day? Well, it's just that extra little bit of diffusion, making the light super, super even. Unless we're dealing with incredibly, incredibly bright specular highlights, most of the exposures we're going to make today are going to be within a normal or normal plus exposure, just giving us a little bit more control. So this is one of the larger open areas before we get to the falls, and I've actually never been here when it's been this foggy without a ton of rain. And I'm gonna do something I've never done before. I'm not gonna do the warm-up shot at the falls. I don't want this fog to completely clear because I love what it's doing to the backlight coming through on this kind of like just the small amount of the stream coming toward me. So I'm going to do my warm-up shot facing this way. So I'm continuing to stay episodic with Large Format Friday here in the third season. A few weeks ago we talked about organizing holders. Last week we tested some film. This week I'm shooting some of that film. So I've loaded some 8x10 sheets of Delta 100. I'm remaining consistent with the meter, so when I did my calibrations and everything during the film testing, I used my Sekonic L778, so we're going to continue to use that here today. I've got a fair amount of dynamic range here. I don't know how much of that highlight I'm actually going to get, but to get f22, I have a metered time of, let's see, what's that? We're gonna call it 6 seconds. And 6 seconds with, I'll have to look up what 6 seconds is with Delta 100. So I didn't have time to download anybody else's reciprocity tables, but I did download Ilford's PDF that gives you the exponent variables for the films. Let me show you what that looks like. So in their reciprocity chart, there's these different factors for reciprocity that can be added in. And any metered exposure time that you get for Delta 100, you're supposed to go the metered time to the power. So to the exponent of that factor. So for Delta 100, that's 1.26. 6 seconds of metered exposure time to the 1.26 power gives me 9.5 seconds, so we're gonna call that 10. Lock everything down. That looks good. Let's take our warm-up shot. Locked in. Ready, and 1,010. Great. My second shot wasn't far off, and yeah, all I did is I shifted my angle. I'm a little bit further down the bridge now, and I'm looking the opposite way. Now the sun is ever so slightly behind me, so I anticipate this exposure is going to be about half the time of the previous one, but let's take a look. All right, so our meter indicated it was going to be a bit brighter, but we're going to go with the same exposure because I do want a little bit more depth of field here. I have some prominent subject matter that I want to make sure I get everything in sharp focus, and so we're going at 32 for the same 10 seconds. Great. Okay. 1,010. Yeah, that's all right. All right, let's go see the rest of this awesome trail. Oh, I can hear them. Let's go. So while we're in transit, I want to address something I catch a lot of flack for in the comments, which is carrying the camera like it is right now. This tripod and this tripod head are capable of carrying way more camera than is currently on it. Just let it do its job, trust the process, and your camera gear is going to be fine. All right, we're almost there. Come on. All right, well, this is the falls. I've been coming down here to Hocking Hills long enough that I remember when both of these trees were not down here. This happened, I think 2016, 2017. Oh, but man, still beautiful down here. So we're changing out now to the super wide, the Schneider 150 5.6. Nice and fast, but you're probably never going to shoot it at 5.6 because that's for previewing on the ground glass. You really don't get good coverage on 8x10 until you're at about f22, and that's for infinity focus. Remember, when you focus large format lenses closer, you're going to gain more image circle because of that magnification as you pull the bellows further out. Think of it like taking a magnifying glass further and further out. So if you ever see me looking down at the camera, there's little centimeters markers that are going to help me kind of figure out my focus and my bellows extension factor. Let's open the lens. All right. I've got this composition pretty much where I want it. I'm going to focus to the far, and I'm actually going to use some tilt. I'm going to tilt to the near. Okay, so we're metering this for f32. We're going to start with the shadow underneath this tree branch. Okay, some highlights obviously from the falls. Nice, some metered time of 8 seconds, so that's going to leave us at 14 seconds. All right, ready, hands. Shot-wise, I really like where I'm at. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull back a little bit and try using a slightly longer focal length to compress those elements, try to make the falls a little bit larger and get my foreground included as well. I may need to move the camera. Yeah, I may need to move it this way. All right. Really want to make sure everything's nice and locked down here. 2 seconds. If you're not sure about the ground that your tripod's on, don't stand near that ground. Try to give it as much space as possible and let everything come to a halt. Just I'm setting up for a kind of fun shot now, and one thing I want to do is include some of this tree that's kind of angled here. I want to match it with the downed tree in front of it, and I also want to get the falls in sharp focus. To do so with a camera with a fixed back, I would need a super high f-stop to make things work, and that's not going to work for me. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with a little bit of my swing. What you're doing is you're changing the plane of sharp focus. So right here, I have a straight on sliver. This way I have a sliver like this, and this way I have a sliver like that. And most importantly, make sure it's locked back down once you have it in place, because that's an easy cause of shake. So I'm gonna start by focusing to my far, which in this case is the falls. So make sure those are nice and tack sharp. Okay, those are sharp. And now I'm going to swing to the near. So moving this way, that makes my focus worse. Moving it this way makes my focus a little bit better. So I know I'm gonna be swinging to the left, or camera right. Once I have my swing determined, I'm gonna start playing around with my focus. So now I'm gonna push my focus toward the tree trunk, and then I'm gonna check my focus on the falls. Okay, and my falls are in focus with that swing, and part of my tree trunk is there. Focusing on the tree trunk now, and the falls are pretty acceptable. So that's the swing that we're gonna use. And with that swing, sometimes we can lose elements to the front and to the back of that exact slice. You still have depth in front and behind it to consider. If I had just shot this wide open, I would have a really distracting foreground element and some really distracting kind of side areas. This would be near impossible with this focal length lens at the distance I am. I don't have f256, so I'm using extreme swing, and I'm still using about f32. So we've run into an issue. I've run out of room over here on this side to pull out my dark slide the full way. Oh, shooting lefty feels so weird. This is so unnatural for me. All right, we're gonna do slightly over a 2 count. Ready, and 1001, 1002, 1000. I have to hurry up and take this one because there's a lot of folks vying for this spot, and they're all being super respectful to me right now and letting me take this shot. The light's just peeked up over the rocks, and it's streaming through the trees, and it's just giving me this lovely dynamic range. All right, ready, one, and 1001, 1002, 1000. All right. So we're going with a longer lens because what I'm trying to photograph is across the water from me. And I want to maintain a higher perspective, and I'm probably going to use a good amount of rise on the front standard to compose it where I like it. Like this. Let's start there. See what we got. Right about there. Whoa, those are some crispy highlights. Okay, shadows. Oh, really deep dynamic range here. This one I may have to mark for a minus development. My f-stop is going to be pretty open. Yeah, I'm at f16, and for f16 I want an exposure. Yeah, we're going to go 1 second. 1 second, and then we're going to mark this for -1 development. Shoot. Okay, careful. All right, so we're back a little bit towards those stairs we first came down, and now we're down at the water's level because the sun is just starting to peak up enough to give us some extra contrast and really enhance the really nice calm reflections of the sitting water we have over here. I tried this shot a few years ago, and while it came out okay, what I didn't do is I forgot to re-correct for some movements, and my camera was still tilted forward on the front standard, and it gave me all sorts of really funky focus. If you're not looking at it or looking at a very small contact print, you can't tell, but we the photographers, we're our own worst critics. We can always tell. All right, the f-stop I need for the shot is going to be f16, so we're going to meter out trying to find f16. Oh, there's my sun coming in. I know when it's time to get the shot when just a glint of sunlight starts hitting those green leaves and really just popping them. It should push everything up an extra zone, which is what I want, because right... All right, ready, and 1001, 1002. Oop. Okay, come on. There we go. All right. Just a little further. There's a lot of slippery rocks and some verticality back there, so I didn't get a chance to film it, but I'm going to throw those up on the screen right now. While I'm going through those shots, I want to take a moment to thank all of you Large Format Friday sustaining members. Thank you so much for continuing to contribute to the channel. If you want to learn more about supporting the channel in a really meaningful way, go ahead and go to marrash.com/memberships, where you can join at the $1 a month, $5 a month, and $10 a month level, with some perks starting at the $5 level. Or if you choose to do a one-time donation or recurring donations, you can also go to marrash.com/donate for that. Whew, that was a long one, but thanks for coming along on the hike with me. If you have any questions about the large format photographic process, be sure to get subscribed and check out our previous season's playlist. By this point at season 3, we've covered a lot of ground, and if you haven't checked through the backlog, you might find the answers to some questions you didn't know you had. For everything else, shoot me an email, largeformatquestions@gmail.com. Thanks again for stopping by, and we'll catch you next week for more LFF.